Howdy ho, everyone. Welcome aboard. Happy new trading week to you. I trust it is going to be a good one, and I trust you've had a wonderful weekend and are ready to go. Talking about go, let's go. Sorry, I'm getting messages in my ear that I shouldn't be getting, which is very distracting. First up, let's go to pound US dollar and see if there's anything that we need to do in terms of getting into a breakout trade for today. Let's take a peek, shall we? Righto, actually, I'm still in a trade from Thursday on pound US dollar for the breakout. And that'd be entirely up to you whether you wished to be in that or not under the rules that I use, because we're looking for a breakout. Doesn't matter the time, frankly. It's just going to break out of there, or it's going to stay in there forever and ever and ever. Not going to happen, right? So obviously I just leave it there until it does break out. What has happened? We got a breakout. We didn't get the TP1. Now TP1 is really not taking any profit. It is just moving your stops to entry, which is at 1-to-1. So in this case, I think that was 80, 90 pips. Can't quite remember. Yep. 90 pips from entry to stop loss. So we didn't make it to TP1, which was up here somewhere. And when we get to TP1, we just move our stops to entry. And then we look for our target of 2.5-to-1. So looking to bank 2.5 times our risk. Now, question is, today, do we want to trade a breakout? Have we got the right to do so? Well, our range that we would use is high of yesterday and low of today thus far. So that would be the range that we're talking about. I'll take last week's off, or Thursday's off, so it doesn't completely confuse us. You can't really say it's trend. You can't really say it's a range either, I don't suppose. I'm inclined not to go there. I think we're probably stuck in here, frankly, for a little bit. You can see the pivots very, very, very close together. That generally indicates to me that the market is happy where it is for now. And until it does, I guess, have a reason to move. And I don't see one. When I look at the Forex factory this morning, I see very, very little in terms of what may move the market. So I'm just happy to stay out of this. It's kind of like the Boomtown Rats, isn't it? Cryptic clue? I'm sure you'll work it out. If not, ask me in the questions box. So I'm not going to touch it. I'm just staying a little bit of drawdown on Thursday's breakout trade. I suspect that we're probably going to hang around this area for some time, to be frank. And until, as I say, until there's a reason to get out of here. And what that is, who knows? Righto, as far as that's concerned, the upcoming week has got, it's kind of a central bank governor's speakathon. They're talking all over the place for various reasons. May or may not mean anything. We had 4 central banks last week, don't forget. Swissy, Bank of Japan, Bank of England, and one other, I can't remember. I'll have it written down, won't I? Fed, of course, the granddaddy of them all. And did have a little bit of a whipsaw on the market as well. We'll probably be having a look at the hangover of the Fed's announcement last week in the upcoming hour or so. Ash will join me shortly, of course, and he'll be, as ever, looking at the Ftse right now, working out whether we've got a trade or not to take there. And so it will go. Hi, SF. Hi, Paul P. Hi, Andy. And g'day, Agnes. How are you? Good afternoon to you as well. Lovely to have you on board, as always. Righto, so what now? Firstly, let's go and have a look at the weekly game changer bars. Well, we won't look at all of them because there are 14 of them, of the 29 currency pairs that are in my market scanner, 14 of them are actually game changer bars. So that's a bit of a task. I was really going to attempt something this week and start to actually trade every single one that popped up. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put 14 into the market, because essentially what you're going to find is a lot of them will be correlated, and you're going to find yourself at huge risk if you take all of them on board, if not all of them. No, I won't say all of them correlated, but a lot of them will be. In particular, one thing I did notice in the game changer bars was there are a lot that involve the yen and the Swissy. Now, what I glean from that is, and they're against the yen and the Swissy. So I glean from that the market has considered itself risk on, certainly for the start of the week. And you'll be looking at things like the Aussie, things like the Kiwi and the CAD. If you're looking at agreeing with that particular market sentiment, you'd be looking to trade those long. You'd also be looking into the stock markets, if you like, to rally, whereas they came off early last week and made somewhat of a recovery. Actually, we'll be talking about that very, very soon. And as I say, we'll see if we can pick up a trade on that front. As far as I'm concerned, I had 4 that I was looking at for the week, and these are they. CAD Swiss was on top of my list as a buy. Why? Well, multiple reasons really, and that's exactly why I was fancying this probably as my trade of the week. It has already triggered if you were looking to do that. So a pullback now is required. This is the monthly chart, and this is January 2015, which most of you will recognize as the decoupling of the euro to the Swissy, or vice versa. And since that time, you can see that range that we have been in. 2015 to 2020, basically 5 years in that range. How big's the range? It is a whopping 550 odd pips. Is that whopping? Not when you look at that bar, but at the end of the day, that's really the dominant feature of this chart, apart from that massive bar. So when I look at what's happened since, we've ducked below there, gone into a complete secondary consolidation, I'll put it that way. And now, this year, in fact, we've come screaming back into that range, and now we've come back and retested the bottom of it, which is kind of irrefutable, isn't it? You can't say that that's not the bottom of a range. It's clearly the bottom of that range, and we've burst back in and retested it. So to my mind, we're going to have another look at resistance, and that first resistance from a market structure point of view appears to me to be that descending channel. So if we go then to the weekly chart, there is that descending channel. There is that the bottom of the range that we've come back off, and we have rejected that level very, very noticeably, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And for that reason, the logic next move for mine was long. Hate these bars. Great bar, absolutely great bar to trade if you like to trade green bars long. But I think that really was the trade of the week, and hopefully it will pull back and I'll be able to get into it, trading at least to the top of that range, if not to the highs, the previous highs. I see Ash in the room. G'day, buddy.
Hi, mate. How are you?
No, very, very hungover, I've got to say. I'm not feeling well at all.
What are we celebrating, were you?
Yeah, yes. Nothing in particular. We just had people over, and it was a very long day. Very, very long day. And today's been just as long, I can assure you.
Oh no, okay, mate. All right.
So
well,
early to bed for me, I've got to say.
Yeah, fair play.
Do you have a trade or no?
Good morning, Agnes. I do have a trade. I'm just taking a trade in the Ftse against my better judgment, which I think is going to come against me a little bit, but I think we can get a better price. I'm going to go in again. I'll probably double up on the Ftse, and I will show you what I've got.
Cool. Good job, Agnes. Good job. I thought it was the trade of the week myself, but I'm not in it yet.
You can tell me all about that trade of the week in a moment as well. Let me see if I can. Let's bring that up there. Bring that up there. Here we go. Right. So what I have is a Ftse 100 long. And I've taken a long here, as I say, against my better judgment, to be honest, because we're right on top of those pivots. But well, I see a pretty positive day opening up so far. Let me see if it's changed at all. No, it hasn't changed at all. So I'm pretty positive about this. But the price I really want, and I took this trade just to kind of get some skin in the game, but this is where I really want it down here. Now, if it comes down to that point, that's going to look pretty good for people, I think. And there might be, it might be that I'll have to go in a few times with this one. I might go back in at 70.70, which is around about 6 pips away from where we are now. But really, this is where I want it here. So I might not. I might just leave this one and just take my poison and say, look, you know what, that first entry wasn't very good. I thought it might just be able to ease a bit higher, but these are the other entries. This one, not so good. Now, you can only really take this one if you know, if anybody's interested in trading the Ftse, you can only take this trade if you're splitting the trade into two halves, this one and this one. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until it comes down here. And it may not come down here, but if you look at what we've got here, this is the reason that I think this is the strongest level. We've got this trend line here, which would kind of lead us into around about maybe an hour or so's time. If it drifts down here in about an hour or so's time, that's going to look really attractive for the upside. It's the difficult thing, this now, I don't normally put lines on my chart, but I wanted to show you that this the problem here and why I wouldn't advise going in here. And it's because of this monthly pivot. Now, I'm not advising going in here, but I'm going in here. And why will I do that? Well, that's because I won't leverage up the account, you know, so I just want some skin in the game. And I'm not after a lot here. But I do think if this can ease above these points, let me see if it hasn't got quite as much room as I'd like. But let's have a look at this on, there's the high. Now, if it hit that high, I would just about be in profit territory, so I might be okay. But I think the Ftse's got a chance now. When we switch this, let's put this on a clean chart because it's a bit easier to look at the lines. I think the Ftse's got a pretty good chance of getting up to these levels now. If it breaks this high, I would say it's pretty much clear. It's got a pretty clear run. This area here may cause a bit of an issue, but I think it's got a pretty clear run. So let's see if it can break that high. Now I'm going to take this trend line away because I don't think it's got that much validity anymore. This area here, when we look on the daily, and this is where we start to kind of get a bit more of a picture, and this is where we switch to the longer term time frames. So this area here, you look at this yellow line here. If I go back to my 15 and I draw that trend line back in that we had, which was this one here, that leads us down to around about the trend line. So this is a good area. Now a fib on this, I'm going to take from the bottom end right to the top of the current trade, the current high, and that fib is leading us just a little bit higher actually. But I would probably wait for this. I think I'll be quite happy to do that. I'll probably wait for these lows down here. So there is a 38% retracement on this area here. So somewhere about 17 pips below where we are now, mate. This is a relatively attractive. I have to say, I quite like that point if it was to come down there. And the only reason I probably won't take that is that this way. So aggregate a little bit lower. If I aggregate here. Yeah, it's not really got enough room. So I'm going to aggregate down here, mate. So that's what I'm after. I'm definitely after the longs today. pretty positive stuff going on in Europe on the whole. We've had the German elections now resolved. And incidentally, that would lead my trade of the week to be the Euro Kiwi long. Now, I don't know what you think about this, mate. Anybody wants to talk any more about the Ftse, we can. But you know, just some other indications that I look for on the Ftse. The VIX currently dropping pretty low. You know, let's put it on the 4 hour. VIX is currently dropping pretty low. It doesn't seem to have much in the way of support just yet. VIX dropping down. We can use something like the S&P futures as well. A little bit of a drop down, but generally speaking, okay, it's probably near a neckline, but that is in an uptrend on the 4 hour as well. So things look pretty good. Gold struggling, but definitely still got this inverted head and shoulders pattern in play, and gold could still hit along here. And what's really happened with gold is that it's managed to make it in a way easier to get in, because now the trend line is coming down in price. It means that we're going to be getting in around about the 1780 level, which is around about $20, $25 away from where we are now. Whereas before, you know, it was I think we were sort of in down there. We would have had to aim up there, which is, you know, getting closer to around about $40 away from where we are now. So few signals in gold would be really good. You know, if we can get through this trend line, then I think we're probably off to the races. So I quite like the look of gold to the upside as well, but not yet. You know, there's still some stickiness going on there. We have to compare it to the dollar, which you know, I think the dollar could start to hit a bit of resistance up here, bit of a W bottoming patterning down here, coming on here. So we got that. There's our W, and we're hitting that neckline. So I think that neckline may well hold. So I quite like that on the dollar, which would provide gold some upside. And as I say, my trade of the week this week is the Euro Kiwi, and this is purely
it's on my radar.
It's on your radar. Fantastic, mate. Well, just to kind of like give you some background on why I like the Euro Kiwi. COT data and seasonality and the fundamentals have all lined up this week for a pretty good euro, and actually they've all lined up this week for a pretty poor Kiwi. So so it really does put that one on the radar as probably the strongest currency pair if you were to take all the fundamental indicators into account. It would provide us with a euro or Euro Kiwi long. If we look at the price action, then I think that there's a case to be made to say that we've hit this high here. So there's a horrible price action really with so many tails, but you know, there is some price action here which would suggest that that's a higher high. Now this looks like an area that could provide the higher low, and it might be just a little bit lower depending on where we're drawing this horizontal level, but this looks pretty good to me. So nice horizontal level line break there. Go down to the 4 hour. doesn't look anywhere near as good because of this here. That's pretty tricky, and I don't see any sort of like any easy signals that suggest that we're going through. But this looks better. You know, when you go down to the hourly, I think there's probably enough of a pattern here which would suggest that you know that there could be an inverted head and shoulders here, and we're probably looking so far not the greatest break there. But I think that, you know, breaking through this point, that may well give us that inverted head and shoulders level break above coming down, and then we'll see what happens from there. But so I'd want to see it above here before I traded it. I think this is a pretty ugly range, and it does tend to range, you know, a bit nastily. So I think if the euro can break these levels up here, it's probably gonna reverse there actually, rather than the other one. So I'd probably do something like this. I'd probably look for something like this, a break to the upside, moving up there, moving to that high there, coming back a little bit to the trend line, and that may not be the trend line. You know, I've drawn this very, very quickly. It might even be that we can get a little bit lower, but somewhere in this zone, I think the Euro Kiwi looks quite interesting. It could be that we hit some sort of confluence there as well. Of that the break of that previous high. So Looks like the price point that I'll be looking for, mate, is going to be 1.6729.
Okay, that's much better than mine, which is around about 16770, I think it was, if I recall.
1.6770.
1.6767 actually.
1.6767. Okay, yeah. So you're looking for the break of this point up here.
Yeah, and I'll show you why. If you go to the daily chart, and the lowest low you've got there back, not near the market, back in 5th of May.
5th of May, yeah.
Actually, it's beyond that if you go a little bit wider.
This one here.
Yeah. No, next one up. Yep, from there.
Yep.
Through the 12th of August. Yep, where you were. Perfect.
Nice. Showing, yeah, I like that.
That's showing me a false break there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So you'd be aiming above, yeah, it breaking that. Yeah, I really like that. I mean, that's well, that helps the picture for me anyway. You know, technically speaking, that helps the picture for me. It doesn't trigger me into a trade, but it does help the picture. I really like that, mate.
Well, you've also got the weekly chart showing me exactly the same thing, yet the current candle is still forming. So the question mark with that one is it has given us a game changer bar on the weekly chart. So you could trade the game changer bar if you so chose and take some profits at the monthly pivot, which is around about 168.47.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that would be my counsel on that one. And look, it's giving us a beautiful little pullback now, so I'm quite happy with that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I really like it. So that's my trade of the week. What did you have as your trade of the week?
Yeah, CAD Swiss, which has already left the station, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's just gone through a trend line. It may pull back as well. I'm hopeful that will be the case. Then I can get into it.
Just going to double check this Ftse over.
Sure.
It's getting close to my buy point. I've got around about 8 pips left, and I'm going to buy back into here. Buy back into this. Could be there. Getting too early here. $63. Time. I don't mind buying the break of this, the top of that bar there. We've got a little while to wait here, mate. probably about, if we can just push down either for the next minute and a half or just for another couple of pips, and I'm going to buy into the Ftse again here.
Do you want to stay there till you do that? Or you want me to take it back?
Yeah, we can stay here actually, because it looks like we might get our opportunity here. Just one more down. Here we come, one down.
Guys, those of you in YouTube who would like to come into the Zoom meeting can do that. There is a link below where we are, below the screen, to get into the Zoom room if you want. Okay, so you're long again.
I've taken the second trade on the Ftse to the upside. So now I'm going to aggregate out and see what we got. So we're probably looking, what we got? 24. So I need at least 12 here to get break even, which is about there. These highs here. Yeah, around about that. Well, let me just see what my break even price is. 77. Yeah, so that's the break even price, and then Probably just looking really just looking for a few pips out of there, because now that's doubled up. So we got 1.6, so I need about 5. Now this is going to be pretty good. I'm going to be aiming for not much more than 20 pips out of this. So if anybody is interested in this, now if we have a look at this as a fresh trade, so it could come down just a little bit further before a bounce, but I think it probably will bounce here. I think it will try and get back to the highs again. Let me just bring back the pivots back in. There we go. No, I don't want that. Let's bring this back in here. Have a look at some of these levels here. That'll be the next buy zone, probably somewhere in about the daily pivot. And this is the benefit of ignoring the second one. So it's somewhere around here. But you can see that you know, this monthly pivot is obviously causing it a bit of a problem. Now, if you've just bought in here, it looks like your first contact may well be this high here. Now, I don't know whether you've got enough room. Yeah, you do. You got enough room to take profit there. So you're probably looking for around about 10 pips to the upside if you're going to be trading the way I'm going to trade. So I'm only looking for a little scalp here. So if you're looking for, if you've got in somewhere around about this area, you're probably looking for around about a 10 pip profit. Now, it's possible, if you're feeling pretty good about it, that you could aim for the monthly pivot. Now, I'm not even going to do that. And now I don't need to. I'm not going to aim for the monthly pivot. I'm going to aim to come out a little bit before the monthly pivot, a couple of pips below that. But it's possible that we do see that monthly pivot one more time before it starts to struggle again. Now, if it starts to break down, then I'm going to be looking for the daily pivot again, and you can see decent level of a decent horizontal level right across here. I'm going to take the red one off. There, decent horizontal level. You can see some price action here, and there's the daily pivot. So if it comes through this area, that won't trouble me too much. I will just take another trade to the upside. And that will be the last one. I won't continue to buy this up. As soon as that's happened, then you need to make a choice on you know, if you're doing it the same way where you're scaling in, then you need to make a choice on whether you want to stop it out or hedge it out, and you're going to need to do one at that point. And I'll be hedging because that's what I prefer to do. So there we have it, mate. We'll see what happens. See if we can get our profit. But as I say, everybody's looking for around about 10 pips. If you're going in for the short term, you may get the monthly pivot if you're going in for a slightly long term. I don't know whether it's going to break this level to the upside if you're looking for something even longer than that. And I don't know whether this would be the entry price, even if you were. Now, let's have a look at some of the fundamental data of the week.
Made a high test bar on your yellow line there. Would that put you into a hedge, or it wouldn't bother you?
Well, let's have a look. Yeah, so that's a good question actually. What constitutes a hedge? The high test bar. You mean this one here?
No. If you got one now on the yellow line, giving you potentially a right shoulder.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, because that's where I am break even. So I might close the trade altogether. I wouldn't need to hedge there. Cool. I'll only hedge if I absolutely have to. And you know, things would have to change pretty significantly now for me to hedge. The way that I always look for a hedge is I would trade on the short-term time frames to try and get my daily profit really. But if I have to hedge, then I'll switch time frames. I won't be looking at short-term time frames, because that really does start to become very, very hectic. You're in, you're out, you're not sure is it going this way, that way.
It's hard work.
So I don't worry about that, you know. So what I will do if I need to hedge is I'll switch my time frame scale, and I'll start saying, okay, has the trend changed? Because if the trend doesn't change, I don't really need to worry about this. It can last as long as it needs to. because I don't use leverage. But if if there's a fundamental trend change, then I'm going to have to hedge, and I'll try and pick it up just a little bit lower, but I'll leave the hedge on. So the big mistake that people make is they try and make money out of the hedge, and that's not the function. You know, that's not the way I use it. I used to, but I found it got me in all sorts of trouble. So I won't do that. So the way that I will look at it is I'll say, okay, let's say my hedge is triggered a bit earlier, and I'm going to hedge somewhere around about this point here. In actual fact, let's use an earlier hedge just to illustrate the point. So let's say I'm going to hedge somewhere around about here. So I take a short at this level here. Now, obviously, I'm not losing anything. Now, as price comes down here and would hit like another level of potential support, another long level, what I would have done before is close the hedge there. And if you close the hedge, obviously you've made some money. However, what I prefer to do now is leave the hedge on. So leave the hedge and open another long. Because what's happening here is I'm starting to build new positions in. Now, if it comes down again, another long. Comes down again, hedge. Now, both these hedges are in play. Comes down again, go long. Now, the best case scenario, say we go long, we get a long down here. The best case scenario is when all these longs start to aggregate into break-even profit while the hedge is also in profit. That's the only time that I will start then to use the hedge differently and utilize it like it's a trade. So the hedge won't come on until it absolutely has to. Is the first thing. But
as you say that if you're leveraged in those positions, you're going to have a real big headache.
Oh yeah, you get in all sorts of trouble if you use this system with leverage, then you're going to blow your account up really quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly.
So forget it. And that's when, you know, if you're using leverage, then you have to use stops, which is fine. You know, that's just not the way that I trade. So I won't use a stop. I use hedges instead. And it does mean that you've closed some trades negatively. But what I'm trying to do is aggregate into a position. But what I'll also do is as soon as I hedge, that to me is emergency work time. You know, that's where I just go, all I want to do is get out flat. That's all I care about now. I'm not trying to make any money for the next, 3-4 days or whatever. I'm just trying to get out flat. Yeah, you do tend to make money doing it anyway. But the most important thing is get out flat, clear the slates, and go back to the strategy again, which is trying to take 10 to whatever pips a day.
So the definition of hedge is you're trying to equalize the position, and that's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to make money out of the hedge, as you say.
No,
it's a defensive play.
Yeah, because you know what? This is the thing about, and I learned this unfortunately during coronavirus, because I was trading this, and this is why I don't bother. And it's it's difficult when you see loads of money coming in, because when if you think about it, if you're going in long, you're going in long again, you're going in long again. Let's say now you got 3 positions. If you got 3 lots, let's say, to hedge, that one position you're putting into hedge is 3 lots. So it makes the big amount of money because it's just chunking down. And the psychology of seeing all that cash kind of mount up. It feels like you should be taking profit, but it gets you in all sorts of problems. And I say I learned it sort of pretty well during coronavirus, because what happens is that you take your position, you hedge, and you make a nice big chunk of cash. So you close up your hedge, and then it drops again. So you got to hedge again. But when you're hedging again, you don't know whether you're getting a nice you're in at the high. So I just found it a lot more relaxed. And you can do it, and I did do it. I had to chase it all the way down in the end. But it wasn't enjoyable. It was a really, I didn't enjoy the coronavirus phase. Even though I made money on it, it was not the sort of money I like to make. I like stress-free, mate. I prefer to make less money that's stress-free than more money with which is really tense. And I know that sounds a bit silly to people, but that's
wait till you get to my age, mate. That'll be the only way you want to do it. When you get to my age, you don't need stress in your life. You really don't.
No, you don't, because I find if you've got enough, if you're making enough, then why do you need to cause yourself all sorts of problems by chasing something?
There's the key, mate. Enough.
Yeah.
Enough. You know, who's got that picture in their head? Who has got that picture in their head? Because you need to, otherwise you will be stressed.
Yeah.
And then you enter into that really, really dangerous phase called greed, which can get you in all sorts of trouble as well. Yes,
it can. And also the problem with it is that when does it stop? You know, when do you stop kind of going after those big gains? And I've had friends that have done this. And actually one of the reason I came up with this system was because a friend of mine was doing some dollar cost averaging techniques on the euro, and he made a packet. He made so much money, but then there was a problem. You know, he hit this point where things went against him, and he lost everything. I mean, when I say he made a lot of money, I'm saying that he made, within a year, he pretty much turned, I think was about $3,000 into 150 grand. It was crazy. The amount of money he made was amazing. But within a month of it going wrong, he'd not only lost it down right back to the $3,000, but he'd gone beyond that because psychologically he just couldn't handle it. And that's the problem with when you go into that greed kind of phase, is that as I say, when does it stop? When you stop trying to get it, when you stop sort of like trying to chase it. So what I thought was, actually you can do that where you average in, but the reason that people say to use stops is because you need something which is the cutoff. However, you don't have to use a traditional stop. You can hedge, which is the same thing, because that's when you stop losing cash. But you can hedge in such a way that you don't try and make money out of it. You just try and build your positions back up again. Now you need to have a grasp of direction overall, and this is why I switched to longer term timeframes with a hedge. Because my overall bias with the Ftse is long. You know, I know if it doesn't hit this high this week, at some point over the course of the next few weeks, it will. There's a good chance, it's a good chance it will. Yep. So now if we were up here, I'd feel a little bit differently because we're getting through to a really important zone. But there's still some room. There's still some open water up here. So I feel okay about this particular trade.
There you go, guys. That's how you build a position. Is it better to just take off long now rather than have to worry about it, Ash? Because you can get a far better result by what you're describing, can't you?
Take off the longs?
No. If the market was to take off long now and you're only in one or two positions, when I say only, you stand to make more money if you get the hedge right. And you've got 3 or 4 positions on, right?
Oh, you make a lot more money from the hedge, but as I say, mate, it's not about money. It's not about making money for me. Not about making lots of money. It's about having a particular system that is stress free. It's like a bank account. You can go and sort of like plug in and get your cash out every week. And to put it in perspective, and I'm not saying this to kind of be really kind of ballsy about things. But I've had one losing month this year, and it was so small that you could, I almost, if I'd had another $10, I would have been in profit. I like that. I like just chunking, just little bits, just taking little bites out of the market. I'm not really, as I say, I tried to do the thing that my mate did, and actually I came up with a hedging sort of system to take the stress out. However, it can get a bit, or it did get a bit crazy. It doesn't now because I leave the hedge in place. But when I was taking profit before, yes, there was loads of money to be made, but you've got to wait a long time for that bounce back. And I don't like that. I don't like waiting around. I like my positions closed in the bank and then start again. As I say, mate, I like a pretty stress-free life because I've got other things I want to do. I don't be thinking about the market all the time. I want to make the cash and then get on with my day. So Yeah, so I don't mind. I'm not bothered about the big cash, man. I'm not. I prefer it to go right and make small amounts than go wrong and have to make a truckload, because it's work. It really does become.
Do you know how hard it is to talk people into that mindset? Because most people want, and in particular in FX, in foreign exchange, they're promised big wins quickly, and it just doesn't happen. We know that. But to tell people that the best way is to slowly take little bites out of the market for a long term, not for, if you're only in the market for 12 months, then okay, find something that'll give you better rewards. But I believe, and if you're going to be in here long term, then you need to find that piggy bank strategy that actually gives you that time and time again. Okay, fly off on another account and try something else with a little bit of loan money, no problem. But having that piggy bank system is very, very important.
Yeah, do you know, mate?
Head as much as anything else.
And I think it's the best way to sort of see the market is like just giving you. It's like a little Christmas present every day. Just giving you a little bit. It's like your rich uncle that's coming in and putting a bit of cash in your bank account every day, rather than if you want to make a lot of money in the market very, very quickly. And don't get me wrong, this will make a lot of money over a long period of time because you're growing your account. But if you want to make a lot of money very, very quickly, go and get a job as a in an institute, because those guys get a nice big pay packet, and then they're not having to put loads of stress even on their trade. Their trades go wrong all the time, and they still get a nice big pay packet. So that's the best way to do it that way, to make a lot of money in a very short period of time. But as I say, if you do it this way, you do make a lot of money in a short period of time eventually. But you're letting your account sort of breathe and grow, and you're planting your little seed. But when you're getting there, you're just getting your deposits in your account every day or every week or every month, and it's a nice feeling, mate. To be honest, I much prefer it, that I can at any point I'll ignore this chart and I'll go and play the piano, or I'll go and I don't know, go for a walk, or go and help some other people, and I can actually disassociate myself with the charts. The amount of people that I know that are always telling me what the price of their assets are during the day, it's astonishing. I'm just like, why?
They haven't got a life if they're doing that. That's right.
No, they're just absorbed. They're married.
They're looking at their phone every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not my way. I can't do it.
No, I think it's really unhealthy. I think it's really unhealthy, and it's not what this is about. I think you always got to imagine that you've discovered trading on the top of what you already do, rather than it becoming the thing that you do. Agreed.
Anyway, I should look at a few things, should I?
Yeah, have a look at some stuff, mate, and we will have a look at some fundamentals later and see what we got for the week as well.
All right, happy days. Just a few things I want to share, really, and I'll start with euro dollar, because that's what we try and do every day, is work out what the heck this is going to do. Now, I'm actually bullish the euro versus the dollar at this point in time, but I do not see a way into the market just yet. I do see a 30-minute chart. I do see a little double bottom forming here.
We haven't got your chart, mate.
That would be because I haven't pressed that button.
There you go. We'll do some work on this one.
I'm a bit slow, mate. I'm a bit slow today.
That's all right.
So we had a structural breakdown earlier on with this break short out of the ascending triangle, which of course coincided with a false break of the resistance trade line. Perfectly clear, except it didn't give us, or didn't give me, the right candle. I would have alerted that to you earlier, but it gave me a red bar instead of a green bar. Had we had a green bar that tested that level, that confluence area, then we would have gone. But no, not for me. But had you taken that position, you should now be at least at break even, if not out of the trade completely. Why am I bullish this pair? Good question. And I'm not yet convinced that we're at the bottom. But what I see is this range. So it could be anywhere from here You could use that as the bottom of the range. You could use that as the bottom of the range, potentially. And that gives you the problem. And the problem is hit the bottom. And it's a question I really can't be confident of, or an answer I really can't be confident of. Maybe that level there is the bottom of the range. Lows here, low here. So how do we trade this, or how do we play this? Well, we're back in the range as far as I've just depicted, and we have retested the bottom of the range again from my depiction. Daily chart from Friday is giving me a nice reversal bar off the bottom of that. It's also giving you the hint on a smaller time frame of a inverted head and shoulders sitting here as well. This candle here is interesting because if it takes out these lows, it would suggest to me that it's a bit of a liquidity grab. And therefore, I'd be looking for longs thereafter. I'm already looking for longs and can't find one at the moment. But if I were to see these lows taken out, so the left and right shoulder taken out, or even the head taken out, I'd then be looking for longs pretty quickly because it could well be a liquidity grab from the big fellas. If I find a long in the meantime on the smaller time frames, it will probably look like a false break of, I don't know what level, I can't find the level right. Maybe even up here, if we got back up here and then retested that confluence area, we'd then look to go long. But given the potential for this to be a double bottom, I would probably look for a bounce off this trade line, then a higher low. If I were to see that after the double bottom has formed, then I think there is a buy on euro dollar. I've already spoken about CAD Swiss. Pound CAD is another that didn't give me a chance to get in. Look, I'm okay with that. The market gap down this morning, and you can see that I've got a fairly sizable game changer bar here. Off the top, well, I can't really say the top, but I can say the repeated rejection of this level here, which is pretty much still this monthly pivot. You see how many times it's failed. Many, 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 many times this level's failed. There is a bigger picture, of course, this big tri-top up here. But for now, I think we've still got a problem with this area getting through it. There is, of course, a case to be made for that level there being a strong support level. Hence, if I get a bounce here, maybe back to weekly and monthly pivot, that would suit me down to the ground because then I could look to find a position short. The moment I can't. The gap's given us nothing, no room to trade this short, but the weekly is telling me that is the next direction, and this, to my mind, is the area that we need to be bouncing off. So lower high in here makes perfect sense to me, and I will be looking to trade that short if it sets up in the next couple of days. Daily chart right now, as I said, is giving you that perfect opportunity for the market to bounce in the direction we want it to go to get short. So euro dollar we've spoken about. What else do I have on my radar? Oh, pound Kiwi. Now, pound Kiwi is one of the monthly trades that we're still in, and sadly in drawdown at the moment, about halfway between entry and stop loss. I think this is the best opportunity that we've had for, pardon me, since we came back into drawdown. This is the best opportunity that we've had to go long again. If I was not in this trade, I would be taking this trade now. I would be entering here, putting a stop loss here, or maybe even here if you want to be a bit more conservative, and getting something off the table at monthly pivot, making yourself safe so that you could then take on these highs and look for the big picture, which is still showing me that this ascending channel and the bottom thereof is intact. Now, that could change in the next, 3 days as we come towards the end of the month. But when I say it's still intact, you can see the current bar is just underneath it or on it. It's a bit of a cloud of a price, obviously. So whilst ever that's the case, I think we've still got a big shot of this going with trend, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is potentially the higher low that we're looking for. But even if this were to close as is, And I wasn't in the, again, if I wasn't in the trade or if I'm in the trade and free trading, I would look to scale in, and still looking for that big picture that I've been eyeing for God knows how long. Those of you who've been in the room for months and months and months will know that I've been trading this since it came back into this range. And that's a long time ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months ago that we started trading this. But it's not as long as, of course, EuroCAD that we are still in. And we entered EuroCAD here. This is the monthly chart again that I'm looking at. And our stops are now down here with price looking to go in our direction once again. If we could only get through this trend line, I think there's a big reward waiting for us at the end. That one there. It's tried, and failed. Let's see if we can get through there. If we can, then the whole reason that I took this trade in the first place was because of our, what did we risk? We risked 370 pips from memory. There's the entry there. Yeah, 360 something. We're nearly double that now and have been well past that. But we're looking for, nearly 3,000 pips, 2,500 pips. So that's why we're in this trade. And the reason we're still in it is because we're enjoying the brokers paying us to be in it. We're getting positive swaps on this. So the longer we're in it, probably the better. I said Christmas time would be potentially that area. Don't think we're going to be too far out. We'll see. So that is pound Swissy. They are the four that I thought were, I didn't show you pound CAD, did I? Yes, I did. They were the four that I was really looking at out of, what did I say, 14 potential game changer bars. If you want to have a look at all of those and you haven't got a market scanner, just pick out off Market Watch the 29 currency pairs and go click, 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 click. And if you find one that you fancy better than what I've chosen, then happy days. But I still think CAD Swiss is the better of them. And I just love this level. This is crazy level. Again, 2015 to 2020. And then we've got a false break of that level and we're back in that range and have retested it with a rejection bar. Gee whiz, I think this has got great potential to get up to here, frankly. I don't know that it would ever go, ever is a long, long time. I don't know that we will be going above that level, but there's still, 400 odd pips off maybe 100 pip risk, maybe even less than that if we get it on a smaller time frame. Looks to have gone, however, at this point, but I'll keep my eye on it. And if I can find a way into that this week, I certainly will grab it. Tomorrow, if we came back and retested that area, that would be the go zone for me on CAD Swiss. Mate, there are, like I said, 11 others that I could go through now, but they're all going to be the same thing. I've got to find a way where we actually go through these on a Monday and say, all right, we've got 14 pairs that are possible to trade here. How many of them are correlated? And if I can work, I'll probably have to do this before the show because it'll take an hour to do the bloody thing. How many are correlated and how many are not?
Yeah.
And if we take the non-correlated pairs and trade them, just with, with pocket change, nothing serious, until we work out a method by which that works consistently, then I think that's the way I want to go with this.
Okay, all right, that's cool. It's good to sort of have a defined plan. Do you know, I was just thinking that I see Agnes in the room, and there might be some other wave rider traders. And I remember last week we were saying that we would give a little bit of help on some of that stuff as well. What I'd really like to know, if there are any wave rider traders in the room, we will talk generally. So we're not going to mention the actual specifics, but I will talk generally about it. Are there any trades that you guys are looking at? Which pair and which direction? And we'll have a quick look at it on a clean chart, but I will talk about the indicators, in a guarded way, so we're not giving away the stuff for free. But if there are any pairs that you are looking at and the direction, let me know, and we'll have a quick look at those, and I'll give you my take on whether you are correctly reading the indicators, and if there's anything that you could add to give yourself a better chance as well. So any wave rider traders, let us know what you're looking at. I like that plan. I like that plan of doing that, mate. So really, we're looking at. I mean, it's almost one of those things that we might have to do it before we start, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
CAD Swiss for Agnes. And which direction, Agnes? I'm presuming that must be a long. Okay, give us the price.
You're in it already, aren't you, Agnes? Are you in it already? I assume you are.
You must be pretty close to profit taking. In fact, what I'd also like to, okay. Okay. 0.73130. Let me have a look.
We got your chart.
Yeah, let me bring the chart up here. I'm just going to quickly place, actually, before we do this, I'm going to place my pending order on the Ftse, which is going to be at. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'll come back to the Ftse in a moment. Let me do this first. Okay. Right, here we go. Right, should have my chart now. I'm going to bring the CAD Swiss. This is okay for the CAD Swiss. Okay. Here's the CAD Swiss. Right, so I'm going to place this down here. Now, to get the same price as you, I'm going to select my my level up here, plonk it on the chart. Let's get rid of that one. And then I'm going to go to horizontal level line properties. And when I go to parameters, I can change this value here. So you put in 0.7313, which is cool. That's going to put that where I want it, and you'll take profit. Your stop loss is at 0.7236. I think you've picked the right one this today, Agnes, as well. Is that right? 0.2360. Okay, all right. I'm going to have another look at this, Agnes. Did you enter this today? You did. Okay, all right. 0.74758. There we go.
So this is a daily wave rider, is it?
Yes, it is, mate. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I see Agnes is going. Okay, let me see what you got here. Right now, the first thing that I noticed, if you've entered this today, your entry bar is this bar here. This is your entry bar. You follow me on that so far? That's your entry bar, right? Yeah. So that means your stop should be under this bar. So the first thing that I'm seeing is that your stop is too low. It should be just. Does that make sense? So, because unless we put the parameters in wrong. If your stop's under there, that's grand. We're okay. Stop's under that, is it? Okay. All right. So that's fine. Right now, the next thing I'm noticing is that you are a Jaguar. Is that correct? You're trading it. This is a Jaguar. Because if you were trading this as a hunting dog, you should have your level that you'd be taking profit already.
And the people in the YouTube room who've got absolutely no idea why we're barking and growling with animals. It's specific to actions to wealth strategies, right? So don't be dismayed. We're not going barking mad.
No, absolutely not. Now, so your stop should actually be your stop loss should be, and I'm going to put it in 0.7262. This should be your stop loss. That should be where your stop is. The entry looks 7314. Your entry should be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the EMA. Let me just double check. Make sure I've got the correct things. It doesn't matter about that. What you're looking at is the bar. Yeah, that's correct. That's the filter. Unless, hold on a minute. What color is that, Dominic? Hi, Lewis.
G'day, bud.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, actually, Dominic. So the what color is the WP on the CAD Swiss? Mine's still in the, okay. In that case, yeah, I see on mine it's actually still green, but I do see it stepping down. So actually, Agnes, this one doesn't qualify. Yeah, the slope will still look green. Got it. Yeah. So the slope looks green, but actually, yeah, you're absolutely right. So actually, this isn't a trade anyway. Now, my advice to you at this point, Agnes, is to now you've got to this area here would be my absolute take profit area, because if you're a Jaguar, remember you're looking for the Hawes level, and that is a Hawes level right there. Now you could probably sort of like come right out and see that it does react here as well. So I wouldn't be looking for any more than 0.7373. No more than 7373. That to me is the potential area for taking profit. And if I were you, I would close that out, because you are trading it in the wrong direction. Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. But is it sloping up or down? Because what it hasn't caught up yet. The color hasn't caught up yet with the slope. That's the problem. Yeah, get it? Okay, cool. In that case, you know, either close the trade and take the fact that you've made some money, great, or aim for this level here, because that's the actually. If you were aiming for this properly, you should be aiming for 0.7373. No problem at all. Okay, now the other thing that we need to discuss, mate, is I only want to touch on that quickly because I realize actually how confusing it probably is to everybody else that's listening on YouTube, and it's probably not fair on those guys. The other thing that we need to talk about, mate, is the fundamentals of the week.
Right, yes, haven't looked at those. I did mention that there's a central bankers governors talkathon. That's
yes, there absolutely is, and what we've got is President Lagarde potentially could say something that might define the direction of the euro for the week as well. You know, there could be something going on there. So that would be something to watch out for. Yeah, you're right though. Look at all these central bankers. They're all Bailey's out as well later on today. So a few bits and pieces going on. Retail sales from Australia. Chair Powell on tomorrow is he's speaking tomorrow. Lagarde again on Wednesday. Lots of speaking actually, mate. I mean that seems to be the order of the week. Manufacturing PMIs from China we need to watch out for because of the slowdown in China, just to make sure that isn't going to be filtering right through. More speaking going on. Chicago PMIs, nothing of huge note there. and really finally the GDP month over the month is a lagging indicator anyway. But we do have on Friday, we do start all over again with ISM manufacturing PMI. So it's really numbers wise, Friday's the day. If we were to sort of like think about the can I move that there and it'll still work? Yeah, that seems to be. If we're thinking about the anything else, then I think we are probably in a case of looking at those central bankers.
Yeah, I don't think I'll bother.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a bit of a weird market because there aren't any real numbers. I mean, somebody's going to have to say something pretty damning, and in truth, you know, are they likely to say that? I don't think they will.
I guess you look at the detail and say, well, okay, what are they talking about? Who are they addressing?
Yeah.
Thereby gauge what they're likely to say, because you know if they're talking to a bunch of Scrabble players or something, they're probably not going to give you too much insight into what monetary policy they're going to be adopting at the next meeting. So yeah. I wouldn't be taking too much into consideration if that were the case. But if they're, if it's a central bankers conference, different story maybe.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, somebody's saying more weakness from the euro. Actually, Lewis, my trade of the week is the euro. So I don't know. I don't think we are going to get further weakness from the euro. I quite like the euro.
I've got it long. Yep.
You're welcome, Agnes. I mean, I hope that helps. The thing is that I do need to be a little bit guarded about how I speak about it. But if that works for you, then I'm quite happy to look at one a week, and we'll have a look. Well, one trade a week, and see if we can kind of just chip away. But I will. I'll do it in a way that's quite guarded and in code. We might even be able to do one a day actually on Wednesday. That's okay. Just no problem. No problem at all. We'll have another look. Are you in on Wednesday? Because actually we're both in all week this week, aren't we, Jeff?
Yeah, mate. Yep. Full house.
Yeah, full house. Okay, so maybe Wednesdays we might look at them in future. But that's
absolutely nothing wrong with looking at them, mate. No dramas at all. Probably we can just expand a little bit on what you're explaining, and everyone else can get an idea as well. Maybe we can do it that way.
The only thing is that
you're talking proprietary stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So I've got to be really careful for people out there on YouTube, not to be able to kind of grab the strategy. NFP this Friday as well. Okay, I didn't see that. Let me just double check that. If there's NFP,
it's going to be the first, isn't it? Yeah.
We got University of Michigan sentiment though. Actually, is it NFP? Where's the NFP? I don't see NFP this week. Do you?
Nope.
I don't think there is NFP this Friday. I don't know why.
Yeah, they often when it is the first, they don't. They hold it off for the week. For the next week, yeah.
No NFP, yeah, no NFP this Friday. But the ISM PMIs will be important, and I think the University of Michigan will be important as well. NFP is really the key in many respects because of the way that Jerome Powell was speaking.
Yes, indeed.
Recently. He's basically saying as long as the numbers are okay, then we're going to start tapering. So the taper plan kind of is in play there.
Yeah, the market's going to be watching that number very closely.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, we got meetings to go, so just remembered.
Have we?
Well, you do.
Oh, okay. I'm going to look at. I think we're all notifications somewhere.
So we better shoot off. But we're both in tomorrow, and we will touch on some more stuff again tomorrow. Maybe even if we get another time, then send us another trade, Agnes, because we can have another look at that as well. And I'll tell you what to do. Actually, Send us it as soon as the show starts. If I remember, I'll remind you, and then we'll kind of get to it at some point during the session, just to kind of give you some help on a daily basis. If that will be something we can do, we can have a little strategy 10 minutes or something.
Lewis, it'd be interesting to see, mate, if the euro holds at 117. I think that's probably the key level of the week. We'll see. I've got it as a buy, though. We'll see.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I have to say, I'm getting very close to hedging this Ftse as well. So we'll come back to that tomorrow.
Okie dokie.
Let's see how we get on. Market's turned a bit negative. It's kind of flat / negative at the minute. So I'm gonna have a good look at that and see if I need to hedge.
Okay, I need a pullback on CAD Swift. I don't. Well, you're out of it now, I think. You're not, Agnes, so you won't mind if it pulls back a little bit so I can get into it. That'd be good.
There we go. Okay, mate. Well, thank you as always to you. Thank you to Angel, and thank you to the guys in the room. Enjoy the show. Nice to kind of get going on a Monday as always. We'll see you tomorrow. See you in the morning, buddy.
You bet, mate. Everyone else, have a wonderful Monday evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.